We have concluded a gripping set of EFL Championship playoff semi-finals, and we now know it will be at the National Stadium, Wembley, on Saturday, 24th of May, 10 days' time. Sheffield United versus Sunderland in the 200, 300, 400 million pound game, whatever the clickbaity headlines are going to be around this. We know it's a massive spectacle. All eyes on the Championship. Those are the sides that are going to be there. We're going to have so much opportunity over the next 10 days to preview this game. But first, we must reflect, now they're in the books, on a really decent batch, I think, of playoff semi-finals. I know I flag it up every year. It's tournament football. It can be a bit turgid. It's always very tense. Remember last season, we got 2 0-0s in the first game. Well, we got 2 very different semi-finals. We got a record-breaking win for Sheffield United and the most dramatic late win for Sunderland last night, which is where we will start. It was an incredible moment. I know everyone will raise the Hogg, Deeney and the knock-up missed penalty as maybe the greatest singular moment in playoff history, but this was up there, wasn't it? An incredibly hard-fought semi-final going down to minute 123. We were literally going to penalties if Coventry had cleared the corner that Dan Ballard headed in to the back of the net. Cue unbridled pandemonium, joy, bedlam at the Stadium of Light. Incredible scenes. Heartbreaking, obviously, for Coventry, and their fans have had to put up with a fair bit of that, with penalty shootout losses in playoff finals and FA Cup semi-finals over the past couple of years. They have lost in the most brutal way again, and this was a great playoff tie. This really was. Coming into it, obviously, Sunderland had been in 4th place for the longest time, and we really didn't know what to expect. It didn't finish the season in good form at all, and you're worried that, okay, they might be rested, but they might be very rusty with no winning momentum to speak of. But over the 2 legs, a kind of defensive, sit behind the ball strategy with 2 strikers who can run on the pitch is what manager Regis Lebris utilised. And whatever you think of that strategy, Sunderland are in the final. It worked. They got themselves through the tie. Obviously, breakaway goal, Lafay to Isidore in the first leg. Ruddock equalised immediately, but almost looking back at it, I know the Ballard moment is the key moment, obviously, but right up there is that late goal in the first leg, just for what it switched in between the games and how the second leg was set up. Obviously, Van Everk's mistake. It was Mayenda running in behind, grabbing the goal. And as soon as it flips then 2-1 to Sunderland, that then gave the Black Cats the opportunity to kind of set up in the same way in the second game. And Coventry knew there's just no margin for error. They've drawn the game on the night, but of course, the decisive goal really was in the first leg, allowing Sunderland to... they didn't sit in as such to begin the game. There was actually quite a lot more intensity about Sunderland's play. But then, as we ticked on into the second half at 0-0, you did feel if Coventry get the goal, this flips massively in their favour. They did get the goal, Coventry, didn't they? And Ephraim Mason-Clark popped it in. There were other chances, Haji Wright's header at the end in particular. But the pattern throughout the, 180, 210 minutes, in the end was pretty constant through the tie, wasn't it? That Sunderland were kind of sat in the trap, ready to pounce if they could on the counter-attack. And that Coventry just had the majority of the ball, the majority of the shots, the majority of the chances, not the majority of the goals. And what was interesting is you started extra time and you think Coventry are going to win this. You're kind of thinking that. And then we go into the second period of extra time, and Coventry just seemed, after all of their work over the whole tie, to just run out of puff a little bit. Sunderland finished the game strongly. 115 to 120. I'd need to watch it back because the last bit's a complete blur with the drama. Sunderland did come strong at the end, but when it goes down to literally the last corner, and I said it on the watch along, go and check it back. I said, they've literally just got to clear their lines here, and then we go to penalties. Literally, I think if a Coventry player heads the ball out of the box into any space, I think the referee blows the whistle and we go to penalties. That's not what happened. Dan Ballard headed it in, and Dan Ballard was fantastic throughout the two games. And look, that was what was demanded by the narrative in this game, that the biggest centre-back there headed it, kicked it, played heroically, had a couple of little sprints up the pitch as well in possession. He was brilliant, and I suppose in that narrative he's quite a deserving scorer. And look, you don't begrudge any football player having that moment where they are the guy that is on the end of the cross in the 123rd minute that sends your team to Wembley and your stadium into utter delirium. So there'll probably be a split. We'll probably get people in the comments saying, oh, Sunderland, defensive and it's anti-football. I'll tell you what it is. It's tournament football. And yes, okay, if you play in a defensive manner and try and catch teams out throughout a league season, maybe it won't be enjoyable for your season ticket holders as much as if you're circulating the ball and trying to score as many goals as you can and attacking freely. That's not what this is. It's literally not what this is. It's, here's an opponent, and by the way, an opponent in Coventry that beat Sunderland handily 3-0 in the league, I think in the middle of March as well. So what do you want to do? Do you want to go and lose 3-0 again, or do you want to tighten it up, give yourself a chance, play on the counter? Yes, you can say the breaks went their way in terms of the mistake by Van Evik and Ballard. The timing of the goal is obviously utterly incredible. But people tend to, I've been doing this a long time, and people tend to bring up luck in football. And my response is always, are you bringing it up out of jealousy and frustration? And often teams that are accused of luck, they're just set up to succeed. The better prepared you are, the more you're ready to take advantage, and online, the better you can take advantage of any luck that comes your way. And luck comes every team's way at various points. So, look, great win for Sunderland. They are going down to Wembley to play in the final. Just on Coventry, I was just listening to a bit on the radio, in fact, where there's almost a suggestion, I think it's Danny Murphy, that, you know what, is it the worst thing given the timing with Frank Lampard taking him from 17th to 5th, and, he's signed one player, hasn't he, in Matt Grimes, and he's not really built his team, and there's obviously a lot of money been invested in Ellis Sims, who did not even get on the pitch before a penalty shootout. So you assume he wants to shape the team, and if Coventry are going to be up there again, and yes, 3 new Year 1 parachute teams are coming down, if they want to be up there again, they've got to build over the long term. There's no reason why they wouldn't be, given how they've traded over the past few years. There's probably going to be some sales. There's always some sales. People are going to be after Sheff, despite the mistake. Van Evik, Sakamoto was very good. Mason Clark was a real danger. There's plenty. They're stocked up nicely of saleable assets. So I think there'll be a few go out the door, but they should be well set to do it all over again. And in terms of Coventry, I think now you just want to see them get out of these high-pressure, big tournament-setting games, because just the margins have gone against them over and again. And those poor Coventry fans, you wouldn't want to see them go through that again. Get your thoughts in on Sunderland versus Coventry. We'll go to Sheffield United's record-breaking win over Bristol City that put them in the final in just a jiffy. But another plug, before we go into the final batch of EFL Fantasy Playoffs, another plug for you to go and join the league. If you follow the description down there, there's a link you can click on there. There's also a league code. And the great thing is, I know we are midway. Well, we're not even midway. We're 1/3 of the way through the semi-final second legs, aren't we? We've got 2 League 1 to go, 2 League 2 to go. So that game is live at the moment. But you can join in, pick your team for the final And that will cover all 3 finals. Some great prizes there for the 25-26 season. EFL are giving hospitality tickets on the opening day away. A year of Now TV subscription, a home and away, shirt for your club. Go and get involved. Please let them know we sent you here from the Benjamin Bloom Football Channel. By joining our league, chance to play against me, and your chance in the Nationals to find your way to some really, really big prizes. Thank you to the EFL for partnering up with that. Absolutely humbled and honoured that the organisation that provides the league that I've covered for so long would want to partner up with our channel. So please do me a favour. It's completely free. Follow the link down there. Go and get yourself signed up in the Benjamin Bloom Football Channel. EFL Fantasy Playoffs League. Easy for me to say. And easy for Sheffield United to get into the playoff finals by the look of it. 6-0 on aggregate. And this was rumbling on through the game that I think when it went 2-0, so 5-0 on aggregate, that they were tied with the biggest ever second tier playoff winning margin. And they got over the line for a 6-goal margin in the end. I can't remember what the others were. Leicester, Cambridge, I think that was a 5-0. One of the legs in that. Was Derby Brighton one of them? I think that was a 6-1. There's another 6-1 in there as well, maybe involving Hull. I can't quite remember. Apologies. But hey, you don't need me to apologise because all those records have been scrubbed out of the book, because 3-0 plus 3-0 is 6-0. And it also equals Sheffield United at Wembley. Commiserations to Bristol City. There were a lot of people after the event, and I get it, and they have a point saying, look, go figure. 68 points, joint lowest ever for anyone to get into the playoffs. Bristol City have done really well to get there. The door has opened up in some respects with, say, the likes of Middlesbrough not getting in there. Luton's terrible season, taking a parachute team out of there. Norwich and Watford have now essentially run out of parachute payments, haven't they? And we just had a whole slew of teams. Blackburn kind of slip out of it. West Brom have been powerful. They slipped out of it. And it sounds like I'm damning with faint praise, but Bristol City were the ones, along with Coventry, who've been in there before a couple of years ago, frankly. A new face, Bristol City in the playoffs, first time in 17 years. Honestly, forgive me. Don't be cross at me for this view. Please understand why I have it. I'm almost pleased it was a big margin of victory after the first leg, and all of that ire about the red card for Rob Dickie. Look, I've given my views on the decision. People were very upset about the decision. I thought it was a red card by the letter of the law. And does it, quote, ruin the spectacle? The double jeopardy not applying to the arms around Kiefer Moore as they're not a genuine attempt to win the ball. Does it ruin the spectacle? Yeah, probably, especially when you've got third place who've scored 92 across the season, and sixth place have scored 68. But that's the deal. Them's the breaks. Them's the rules. Sheffield United scored the penalty, banging another 2 goals, and you're kind of looking game over. But the comment I was going to make is that I'm almost pleased that the second leg then went 3-0 as well. So people will fall on the fact that that was the decisive moment of time. Maybe it was the decisive moment of the tie, but you can't have it both ways. You can't say, oh, it was always going to be impossible for Bristol City, and then also say the tie was decided by a red card. The two things contradict, don't they? And I do think it was always going to be tough for Bristol City. I do think their chance was at Ashton Gate, and yeah, maybe your argument could be the red card meant that they had no chance of winning the game at Ashton Gate, and then they lose the away game 3-0. And very similar. I'm not comparing exactly Sheffield United's approach to Sunderland's. Sunderland sat back a lot more and were a lot more defensive. I think we would all agree that's probably an objective fact, isn't it? And the data would back that up. But there was a sense in both games that one side was very efficient and happy to let the other side have the ball, who weren't efficient. And the traps were set, and both Coventry and Bristol City fell into the traps. And I was saying in the first 15, 20 minutes of this game, Bristol City are playing well. Bristol City are circulating the ball nicely. Bristol City are controlling the possession of the territory. And what? And what about it? You're 3-0 down in tournament football. It doesn't matter, does it? You have to score. You can control, you can have 95% possession, but if you're 3-0 down and you don't score any goals, you are not going to Wembley. And then Sheffield United gradually one by one by one. First Moore, and then Harmer, big deflection, okay, which is a complete killer then to take it to 5. And then Callum O'Hare scored the goals. And I mean, you've got to pick up on a few players here in terms of Sheffield United before I get to the kind of team side of it. Harrison Burrows, brilliant assist. I think got 2 assists in the second game, didn't he? And he got the goal from the spot as well in the first game. Brilliant step up from League One into the Championship, straight into the top of the Championship as well. Harmer, my God, that guy loves the playoffs. 2 goals in 3 for Coventry. Coventry fans still tell me in, 22, 23, had he not limped out of the final, that they would have beaten Luton. Maybe they would. Maybe we would be discussing a completely different Championship now if that butterfly sliding door effect had not happened. And Callum O'Hare is fascinating. Chris Wilder is not starting him, and I bet he doesn't start him at Wembley, but that guy is on flames off the bench at the moment. In the first leg, he comes on at 1-0, runs over the ball to dummy for Andre Brooks to score the second, and then scores brilliantly the third himself. And then again, he's on the score sheet in the second leg. What a sub he might be in the final if needed. But look, team-wise, Sheffield United have been very good at being very efficient all season. And please don't take that as an insult, for God's sake, Sheffield United fans. They've racked up 92 points before the deduction. They've been a very, very good team. Leeds made more chances and kind of scored more goals and controlled in that way. Burnley controlled by brilliant defensive work and just didn't look like losing for the last 7 months of the season, did they? Whereas Sheffield United a few times during the season, you kind of felt, they're really racking up a lot of wins, but a lot of close games, a lot of single goal wins. Goalkeeper excellent, defenders excellent, individuals winning them games and things of that nature. I'd like to say, if I was a Sheffield United fan, kind of hearing that, well, that works well for a one-off game at Wembley, doesn't it? You're good at playing the fine margins. You can win a game by a single goal. Your keeper's very good. You got individuals. So there you go. Sheffield United, very, very good. They did the job so easily, really, in the end, didn't they? Okay, I know you can't not mention the red card. I get it. But it's still 6-0 over 2 legs. And the second leg was 11 versus 11 with the game state, I know, at 3-0 beginning. But that was also 3-0. So, wow, what do we have in store for the final? Look, I don't want to say too much because we're going to speak to Sam. We're going to preview this maybe with some other guests as well. But first of all, it should be an absolutely fantastic spectacle. I don't know who's not going to wear red and white. We'll find out about that. Once again, it is 3rd versus 4th in the playoff final. Again, if you're telling me the playoffs are a lottery, I think you are objectively incorrect, and that is completely the wrong word to use. If you think the playoffs need to be changed, again, that's subjective. I'm just sat here saying every year, why? Why change it? It seems like people just want to give more and more and more of an advantage and make it more and more similar to the league table, frankly, and give as many advantages to 3rd and take away as many as you can to 6th. I just say, why? Just get rid of them if you want to do that. Just promote 3rd. But for what we've got, they're absolutely brilliant. And look, take the 90s out of it, where it was crazy and it was the Wild West. More often than not, and this is even before the parachute payment era kind of doped the Championship in financial terms, it's just always 3rd and 4th, big, hot favourites. And then, if you take the percentages of winners now, it tracks pretty much exactly as it should and gives, it does represent that 3rd and 4th who have earned those higher places in the league are just better teams. And here we go again with 3rd and 4th in the final. It gives the opportunity to 5th versus 6th. But for God's sake, now it's another year, no 6th in the final. I think it's something like, would that be 15 years now? Something like that. I'll check my numbers when we're actually kind of doing the data properly for the final. But 6th, never get to the final anymore. And the last team to win it, who is it? It's Palace? Is it 2010, the last 6th place winner? Yes, that would be right. 15 years with one 6th place finalist, and then you go back another year to get yourself the winner. So all I'll say is the playoffs are beautiful. The playoffs are fantastic. We have seen a record-breaking win for Sheffield United, and then the other leg, we got our tournament football tension and drama, as you'd expect in the 4th versus 5th, where the teams are close and matched. We are going to be talking so much about this game. I will say no more. I will shut up now. Get your views in the comments on the semi-finals. You can start talking about the final, but there will be specific videos about this. And let me put up my reaction as a YouTube short. It was an incredible moment. Let me know where it ranks up there. Obviously, HartDane is mighty, and we all get that. But what a moment for Sunderland last night as they set up a playoff final on May 24th with Sheffield United.